Let us start with the CSS crash course for absolute beginner. So, if you are totally new to the styling in HTML, then after completing this video, you are going to have a good hands on applying the styles in our HTML page. So, first of all, CSS stands for the cascading style sheet, and it is used to describe the presentation of the document that we write on the HTML. It is not a programming language. It is a kind of styling in which it is used for website layout and design in our HTML page. Before we start with the CSS, we have to know the basics of HTML, and we will also start with the text editor that we will be use like VS Code, and the browser like Chrome or Mozilla that should be installed in your system. I will also provide the description to the HTML crash course so that you can go ahead and start with the HTML and doing so many things in HTML practically. So before we start, we have three ways of adding the CSS: the inline, internal, and the external CSS. So when we are using the inline CSS, we do the styling directly in the HTML tag for the element, and when we use the internal CSS, then we use the style tag within the document, and when we use the external CSS, then we simply create the .css file and link that in the HTML file. Now let us see what is the benefit of the external CSS over the internal and the benefit of internal over the inline, and why should we avoid to use the internal CSS and inline CSS in our HTML document. Let us start with the practical. Let us start the Visual Studio Code and open the folder that we have created. Let me add one more folder, CSS. So now we are inside our CSS folder, CSS demo folder, and we have added so we are inside the demo folder, and we will create a new file that is called the index.html. Just write the doc and press tab to create the layout. Now I am saying I am going to add a heading and some explanation. Just write lorem and press tab. You will have the dummy content. Now I am saving the file and open this in the browser. So this is the file we have created. Now let us start with the inline styling that we are going to apply in our page. So we can apply the inline style with the help of style equals to, and we will define the styles. Let us say I am defining the color. Let's say I am adding color brown. Let's see, apply the style to background color. You can choose whatever you want. Let me just select coral and save. Let us just open this in browser. See, you can see whatever color we have defined is applied, and if you want to apply one more property style over here, let's say I want to add color also. I am saying so. Now the color has been changed. So this is how we can define the style in our HTML tag, in our HTML element, and this is called applying the style as inline styling. Now suppose that I want to have one more heading and the related content. Let me save the file and open in browser. I am getting one more heading and the layout that I wanted is applied. And again I have to go here and apply the styles, and here also I have to go and apply style equals to whatever I want to define. Then it is getting applied. So every time you want the same style to be applied, you have to rewrite the style again and again inline to that particular tag and element. Now this is all about the defining of a style to the tag on the basis of inline styling. Now let us see, we have 3 or 4 heading also coming, then I have to go ahead and add the same style again and again. Let us see the use of internal styling. Let us try to implement and see what is the benefit of using internal CSS over the inline CSS. You have to add the style and let me say it is of type text or CSS. Now we are inside the style and I have to give the elements with the style. Let us say I want to give the style for h1 and for the tag p color brown, background color brown, and so on. I don't have to define the style again and again. Let me just save and open this. So you can see the style has been applied that we have given. Now in future, if I am getting again some heading and the related contents, then I just have to add the elements and the content, and the style has been applied automatically. So this is how we can define the inline, the style and the internal style. So now if you have to add some other styles on some other tag, then you just have to come over here and add the tag name and the corresponding styling, and that style will be applied to your element. And you have seen how we can apply the style inside the tag, that is called the inline styling, and we have also added the internal styling with the help of style tag. And we have seen the benefit of using internal styling over the inline style. Now let us move ahead and start working with the external CSS. So all I have to do is to create the CSS file inside the CSS folder. Let's say style.css, and let me just add this content onto there in the file. Just save the file and come in index.html, and we have to link that particular file. We have to use the link tag, and href equals to that particular styles.css inside the CSS folder. Just save the file and you can see the style has been applied. Now let me just go ahead and change. Let's say I am changing the color. Let's say I am selecting this one color and the background color to be this one. So I have applied some changes for the layout of h1 and the p tag. Save the file, open the browser and refresh the page, and we can see the style has been applied. So the benefit of defining style over here is, suppose that we have one more file, let's say page1.html. Let's say the heading is page 1 heading and the content is inside the p tag, and let me add the linking of that particular style over here. Let me add a link for the index page. Save the file and open in browser. So when I'm clicking on the link, I'm getting the page 1 and the style has been applied. And we can see both the pages are getting the styles that is defined on styles.css. And both the pages are working properly. And in future, if we have 100 of pages and we want the same style to be applied, then we just have to simply use that particular styles.css in the form of link and apply the link in the document, and that style will be applied. And we have seen the benefit of inline CSS and the benefit of internal CSS over the inline CSS, and the benefit of external CSS over the internal CSS. So inline CSS was limited to the element and internal CSS was limited to the document. but the external CSS have no limited on the tag or page, and it is directly created and has been utilized on any page, and it is very beneficial, and it is always recommended to use while using the CSS in our website. And it is also a good to separate the files. So we have seen the example of external CSS, and we have gone through the defining of styles with the help of inline, internal, and the external. So how we have defined the style is, we have simply used the selector tag, and then on the basis of curly braces, that is known as the declaration block, and then we have applied the property name and then colon, then the value. One more property, we have to use the semicolon, then again we have to define the property name, then colon, then values, and for further properties we have to just use the semicolon and proceeding with the properties. And everything should be inside the declaration block. And in the same way we have to define the styles for other selector. It can be h1 or ul, li, anything. And this is the basic structure of defining the styles. So till now we have defined the color. Now let us suppose if I want to define color codes and defining the colors in something different way. Just go to the HTML color codes and you can see here whatever color you have to choose, you can choose, and will come up with the hexadecimal code. We can also copy by selecting them, or we can give the RGB format, that is nothing but the combination of number. So all you have to do is to apply the color code or the RGB format. And if I am giving the RGB combination of 205, 92, 92, then we have to write RGB, then inside the bracket 205, then 92, then 92, and open this in our browser. You can see the color has been applied. And in the same way, if I am giving the hexadecimal code, suppose that I want to choose this particular color and its hexadecimal code is D5F5E3. So let's write that hexadecimal code. Let us see, this color should be applied. So you can see that particular color has been applied. Let me give it black. So this color has been applied, you can see, and in this way you can define the color in the format of hexadecimal code and RGB format. We can either give the color name or HTML5 color name or hexadecimal code or the RGB format that we have given. Now let me use some style. Let's say I want to add some body style. The color will be text will be blue violet, and let us choose background color. Let me say I want to choose D5DBDB. Let me add this hexadecimal code starting with hash D5DBDB. So the background color has been changed. Let me go ahead and delete some content that are not useful for now. Now let me change the font style of the text. Let's say font family. We can choose any one. Let's say I want to add this one. Let's say I want to add Arial, then Helvetica, then sans serif. So you can see the changes has been applied on the font. Now let me change the size of the text. So we have to use the font size property and give it the size. Let's say 20 pixel. Save the file and check. So it is getting incremented. If I am giving 25, then it is going to 25px in size. Let me say I want to have the text in bold. Then the font weight should be bold. Save and refresh the page, and you can see the bold has been applied. And also we can apply the font styling directly with the font. Then we can apply bold, then size, then your font family. And we can add the comment in between these two symbols. And we can use the comment for the documentation. And the content written inside the comment block will not be executed, will not be the part of a style. So all these three already added in single font property. Let's say I am going to add normal. Let's see. So it is now in the normal position. And for the font, let's say I am saying it's 15. So it is changing to 15. Now let's give some height to our line. Suppose that we have some extra contents. I want to apply some height in between the line. Then all I have to do is use the line height property, and let's say I am saying it's 2 em. Em is for the responsive side and responsive page. Save the file and open it in browser. So you can see the spaces in between the line. If I am giving some negative value, what will happen? It will simply do nothing. Now if I am saying 0, then it is putting all the content over and over the text to each other. Let's say 1.5 em. So this is how we can give the line height. Let us start working with the CSS class. We can apply the class to the HTML element, and the class contains the set of properties and the values of the related style, and we can create the class by applying some styles to the tag element, and that class name should be prefixed with the dot. Whatever name you define should be prefixed with a single dot. That will be considered as the class. Let us go ahead with the practical. So why do we require the styles, and why do we require to use the classes? We have seen to apply the inline internal and external CSS, and let us start with the applying the classes in order to give the format to the element. Let us suppose we have 3 heading for now. And let me give the separate content. This is called heading 1. This is heading 2. And I am saving the file and opening these in browser. So all these heading and content are coming in the same format. And if I want to apply some different styling in this heading and different style in this heading content and some different styling in this heading content, or I want to have the separate style for this element and for the remaining heading and content we want the same to be applied. So one should be different and below two should be the same. Let's see how we can do, and we will also see the benefit of using classes. Now let us suppose I don't want to give this h1 style and I am saying it's called the content. Let's say it's called the content underscore heading, content underscore heading top, and dot should be the prefix in order to create the class, and this is the properties and values that is been applied in the same manner that we have already added. Now I have dot, just I want to say it's a dot heading top and this is content top. Now I want to apply this style heading top to this first heading. Class equals to the heading top and the content top in this element paragraph. Now let us see in the browser. So we can see the class has been applied on this heading and elements. Let me just change this to heading 2. Let me go ahead and add heading below, and this is the content below. Let's say the color is blue and the background color is this particular color. And now for this I want to give the color let's say green yellow. Now I want to apply this heading below to these headings. Let's say class equals to heading below, and in the same way here also class equals to heading below, and let me add the content below style class equals to content below. Let me refresh the page and you can see that particular style has been applied. Let me change the text color as it is not visible for now. Let me just change the color. let us say it's indigo. Refresh the page. So now we have seen the benefit of using the class and how we can create the class with the help of dot and proceeding with the class name and giving the properties inside the declaration block. And the benefit is when we want the particular set of style to have a name and you want to apply on the basis of some element and the layout, then you can go with the class. And this is very useful when we have different block having different styles and some of the styles are repeating on the basis of content and on the application and on the basis of document outlet. So in this way we can apply the CSS style class to the heading and the subheading. So we have gone through the class example, and this is how we can simply apply the class to the HTML element. And so if in future some more heading and elements are coming, then we just have to apply the classes, and if different we have to just come here and add the new class. So this is all are reusable styles and that can be applied to multiple places by defining in one place. Let us start working with the ID in CSS. Just like the classes, we can apply the ID to the HTML element, and it contains the set of properties and values of the required styles, and we can create with the help of ID name. It should be the ID name and this should be prefixed with the hash symbol. And unlike classes that are used to identify more than one element, the ID is used to identify only one element. Let me just go ahead and add hash, then the ID name, let's say unique content, let's say unique top content, and apply some property and value for the style. And the unique bottom content ID. So we have defined two ID with two property value. Let's say over here I want to simply apply let's say it's header content and ID equals to unique top content, and for the below let's say it's H4, and it's a below content, and ID equals to unique bottom content. Just refresh the page and you can see that particular layout style has been applied to the header and the bottom content. So the similarity is like we can also do the same thing that we have used with the help of class, but when we are talking about the ID, then this should be unique, because in our website there is only one header content, one footer content, one sidebar, and one right sidebar. So these are the four content that are unique to the whole page. And if talking about the below content, that can be defined with the help of classes, and multiple elements can have the same styles, and for the identity we have to use the unique for the elements that are unique to our page. Let us start with the CSS box model property. So the CSS is simply the container which contains the margin, border, padding, and the content itself, and it is used to create the layout of the page and the element, and it is used to customize the layout of different element. You can see so the margin area consists of the space between border and margin. The dimension of the margin area are the margin box and the margin box height. It is useful to separate the element from its neighbor with the help of margin property. Then comes the border property. It is the area between the box, padding, and margin. Its dimensions are given by the width and height of border. Then comes the padding. It includes the element padding. The area is actually the space around the content, and within the border box, its dimensions are given by the width of the padding box and the height of the padding box. And then after defining the padding, we have the elements, and that is coming after margin, and then border, then padding, and all these have the separate property for defining the margin and the border and the padding that is visible to the user on the layout. So outer area is the margin that is used to separate two sibling element, and then comes the border that is used to define the border before starting of the element, and then the padding to define some spaces before the element, so that our element should be very clear. So let us start looking at what all these. Let us start defining the margins and see how we can apply on the HTML element. So we have defined the style for paragraph with margin top 10 px and bottom 10 px, then right 15 px and left 15 px. Let us try to define in page 1, as there is very less element over here. So we have already declared the p tag over here. Let's see whether it is applied or not. So you can see the margin has been applied, and if I am implementing some value, let's say I want some more margin from left, let's say 35 px. So right now it is 15, then it becomes 35 px. Same for the right, let's say for now it is 15 and I want to give some extra margin, then I just have to go and change this value. Let me also give the background color. So for the p tag, is there any background color? There is no background color for this p tag. Let's say I want to give light sky blue. So now this is the complete area for this p tag. And there is a shorthand technique for defining these 4 margins. Let's say I just want to give margin, then I need to give the top margin, then right, and then bottom, then left. All you have to do is to know the sequence, first of all from the top, then from the right, then bottom, then left, in this circular way. So the output is the same. Now let me add the border to this paragraph tag. Just like we have defined the margin, we have to define the border also. Let's say 10 px, then you can give the color, then define some property like solid, double, etc. Let's say solid. Save the file and refresh the page, and you can see you have the border. In the same way, if I want to give the border for left, top, and bottom, So the border has been applied. And one more thing we have to know, just like we have given the margin for, let's say I want to give the equal margin for every side. Let's say it's 40, then 40, again 40. So the margin applied are equal from right, left and top to bottom. If I am giving the two margin value, then it means this is for the top and the bottom, and this is for the left and the right. Let's say I am saying it's 80. So it becomes 80 from left and 80 margin from right, and 40 from top and 40 from bottom. In the same way, if I am giving only one value, then this will be applied from top, bottom, left and right. So it is applied 40 px margin for top and bottom and left and right. Now let us go ahead and see in the same way we can define the border as 10 px, so it is applied the same, just like we have given the value for the margin, we can give the value for the border. And now if I am saying border width 20 px, then the border width has been implemented, and I want to say border bottom width to be only 10 px, then this becomes only 10 px for the bottom width, and border top style to be double. Let's see what is the double. So it is showing the double line. Border right style, let's say dotted. So it becomes dotted. Now let us see. Let us first of all give and remove these styles. We can see like the content is very close to the border and we need some space in between the content and the border, that is called the padding. So all we have to do is let's say padding left to be 10 px, you can see there are some space has been created. Let me increment by 30. Just notice this particular space, so it is incremented. Now padding top to be 30 px. Just notice the top and you can see some gap has been created. And now the all four corners, the 30 px of gap has been created. And we can also say padding to be 30 px. So in the same way, just like we have given the margin individually for all four corners, and also we can apply the margin by giving the value only for the top, bottom and the left right by passing simply the true value. So this means the top and the bottom has been 40 px and left and right has been 40 px. In the same way we can give for the padding. So now we have seen almost everything over here. We have defined the margin property for the top, for the bottom, for the right, for the left, and we have defined the border property for top, bottom, left and right. We have defined the padding property for all four corners, left, right, top, bottom, and we have seen how our content has been visible in browser when we apply the margin, border, padding property to it. Now let us see how we can define the height and width in this particular example. So now it is created the height of 300 pixels and width 700 px. You can also go on and inspect the element. You can see the p tag we have applied the given styles, and the margin has been applied as 40 that we have given. Yes, it is 40 px. Then border 10 px, border 10 px, then padding 30 px, padding 30 px, and our element. So this is the margin that is being highlighted, and this is the border, this is the padding, and this is our element. And if I want to change the height width over here, then I can implement with the help of keyboard arrow key. I can check and set for the attributes from here. And I can also change other property also. I want to decrement the box size, and I can change the border value. I can change the padding. Also margin. So this is how we can inspect the element and change the styling from here. And we can also check for the contents by adding some extra content. So it is getting fit over here, and I can copy the style and paste over here. Once I get to know like so this is very useful. Just open the things over here and set the various properties and copy by selecting the styles, and just go ahead and paste over here, and you can directly get to know like this is the perfect match for the given content in our document. So if I want to make this permanent, I just have to copy this. I've already copied, and just let me comment everything except for this. Save and refresh your page, and you will get this style as permanent. So all I have done is inspected the element and applied some changes, and copied the property and apply that copy property over here. So I don't have to go and change the value from here and check for the change content from here by refreshing. So every time I have to refresh. Once I apply some change over here, I have to go here and refresh the page to check whether the style has been properly applied or not. But if I am here, I just have to change the values and I will get the immediate changes onto our element. Now let's say I have these contents and I just want to transform them to uppercase. So we can use text transform to the uppercase, and now refresh the page and you will see the content in capital form, and also you can see the spaces in between the letters. If you want to set or configure these spaces, then letter spacing, let's say 0.5, so the letter spaces has been implemented, say 0.2. So in this way you can increase the space in between the letters. And word spacing, let's say if I am giving 1 em, you can see the space. So for now we have learned how we can give the inline style and how we can give the internal styles with the help of style tag, and how we can give the external style with the help of external CSS file. And we have also gone through the classes and the ID with the help of dot and the hash. And we have seen how we can define the margins, how we can define the border, padding, and lot many things. And we have gone through the box model. That is one of the most important thing when we start working with the CSS. And we have seen how we can define the element and the various property like padding, border, margin, the height, and the width of that particular element. So this is all about the basics of CSS, and if you are the beginner, then this video is very useful, and we have seen how we can have the good hands on the CSS. And in our upcoming videos we will cover the advanced format of CSS, that is media queries, selected levels, and we can also see the animations, text effect, 2D transformation and 3D transformation, multiple column layout, and so many user interface. And also we will see the CSS that can be applied on image values. So till now, thank you so much.